All right, we're going to begin looking at arithmetic sequences. This video is specifically going to focus on explicit. So there are two types of arithmetic sequences, recursive and explicit. So we're going to look at explicit. And as you can see, these are things that you do not recognize. I'm going to read this to you and then we're going to talk about definitions. This is read as a sub n equals a sub 1 plus d parentheses n minus 1 parentheses. So obviously in order to use this formula you have to know what each thing means. So let's take a look at some definitions. Definitions: a sub 1, so a with a little 1 underneath it, is equal to the first term. And what is the first term of this pattern or of this sequence? It's negative 14. So we would refer to negative 14 as the first term. This is the second number, so we're going to refer that to a sub 2, which means the second term. Notice again this 2 saying that it is the second one. All right, negative 20, we're going to refer to that as the third term, a sub 3. This 3 meaning that it is the third term. All right, this would now be the what? So go ahead and write out, just to check your understanding, this would be a sub what? So please go ahead and fill that out. All right, now this will obviously go on forever because it's a pattern. We refer to the forever term as a sub n. So n being the nth term. Okay, so now you need to know two things in sequences: the a sub 1 bit or a sub 2 bit or a sub 3 bit, and then you also need to know the n. So n is the term number, okay? N is the term number, which means here n equals 1 will say negative 14. When n is equal to 1, then instead of me writing a sub n, I'm going to write a sub 1, which means the first term. When n is equal to 3, do I go to negative 17? No, I'm going to go to the third one, 1, 2, 3. So if n is equal to 3, this is going to be a sub 3. Again, this 3 is signifying that n is equal to 3. This means my third term. Please draw an arrow for n is equal to 4 and tell me the a sub bit as well. All right, so we're going to look at explicit by hand and by calculator, but we'll start off with by hand. So example 1 says, write the formula with the information given. Which one would be the first term? Pause the video and go ahead and draw an arrow. Okay, so you should have drawn an arrow to this one. And how do I know that that is the first term? Because it's 1, a sub 1, my first term. Okay, which one is the nth term? All right, the nth term, pause the video and draw an arrow. All right, so you should have drawn to a sub n. And how do I know it's a sub n? Because again, the nth term is the nth term. All right, now go ahead and draw an arrow to what is defined as n minus 1. Pause the video. All right, you should have said that that is the term minus 1. Because remember, n just means the term number, and then we're subtracting 1. And then finally, then the common difference is going to be d. And how do I find the common difference? We're going to do second number minus first number. Okay, your second y number minus your first y number. All right, so now that I've gone through my definitions, let's go ahead and do question. It says write an explicit formula. So we're writing this because this is an explicit formula. A sub n equals, because I'm following the formula, a sub 1. So remember, what is a sub 1? The first term. Looking at this pattern, which one is the first term? Again, pause the video and try it. Okay, you should have said 1. So the first term is 1. And then we're going to say a plus sign. So go ahead and put a plus sign. Open up a parentheses. Then you have n minus 1. Now, they did not tell us what n is equal to. They did not say the term number. So we're going to leave that as n minus 1. And then the next thing is the common difference. How do I find the common difference again? I take the second number minus the first number. Okay, looking at this, pause the video. What is the second number minus the first number? All right, so you should have said d is equal to negative 9 minus 1. And I want to be very specific. Say this was a negative 1, you would have to write negative 9 minus negative 1. Remember, we do not drop negatives just because there's a negative there. Put that right in the calculator and you're going to get this is negative 10. So my common difference is negative 10. And that's it. That's the explicit formula. Of course, we can simplify this, but I'm going to leave it just like this for right now. Now it says evaluate for the 10th term. So now they're telling you that n is equal to 10. So all you have to do is where you see n, put n is equal to 10. Pause the video real quick and rewrite this, but where you see n, write the number 10. Okay, so you should have written out a sub n is equal to 1 plus parentheses, and I see n, and remember in place of n I know n is equal to what number? 10. So here I'm going to write 10, and then you just keep going, minus 1 parentheses, and then negative 10 in parentheses. And you're going to put all of that in a calculator, negative 89. Again, please use the calculator, and you're going to type it just like this to make sure that it gives you the right answer. And now we're going to write and evaluate it all together. So I want you to pause the video. You're going to basically do what we just did here for this pattern.